Okay, folks, we're going to start with Chapter 1, Section 7. This is the last section in this chapter. After this, we'll start reviewing for your test, which would be sometime probably next week. I'll post more information about that here on campus. All right, this is for the week of August the 24th, and the standards are, as you can see right here, you can read them on your own. All right. Here's what we know. I'll go over the homework quiz with you because I want you to get a visual of what it looks like. Now, to do that, now I know a lot of you don't like doing this, but this is something that's going to be necessary for geometry. You have to draw the diagrams. I repeat, you have to draw the diagrams. Here's what you have. You have that ray BD bisects angle ABC. So you have that. So let's draw it over here. And you don't have to be, it doesn't have to be exact. Just use the information that you're given, okay? So A, B, C, and then this is ray B, this is ray BD. Now, remember, bisect means splits the angle in half, so both halves are equal. So another thing you need to note, and you probably want to write this down, is that angle, or the measure of angle ABD equals the measure of angle DBC. Now, I've had a couple questions. A couple of you asked me, what does the little m in front of the angle symbol mean? That means the measure of. Whenever you're talking about a numeric value, such as an angle measure in terms of degrees, you have to put the m in front of it. You can't just say angle ABC equals, no, you have to put the measure of. Now, when you go without the little m, that means you're talking about angle congruence, and we'll talk about that a little later on. All right, now here you're given that ABD is equal to 5x, and angle DBC equals 3x plus 10. Well, we noted earlier that both of those angles have equal measures. So since they both have equal measures, all we have to do is set them equal to each other. So I got 5x equals 3x plus 10. And when I do the algebra, so I get 2x equals 10, so therefore x equals 5. All right, now that's part of it. Now this time it's looking for the measure of angle ABC. So we got to know what this measure is, and we got to know what that measure is. So let's go ahead and plug it in. I'll write this in red ink so you can kind of see. It's going to be 5 times 5, and this is going to be 3 times 5 plus 10. Well, if you note, they're both going to be 25. Now remember, ABC is the entire angle, so it's both halves added together. So we're going to add them together. We're going to get 20. We're going to get 25 plus 25, which is 50 degrees. Okay, that's that. All right. Now the next one, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to redraw the diagram down here. And remember, the diagram does not have to be exact. It's just a visual to help you. So we have ABC, we got A, B, C, and then that's D. All right. Now, we know that ABD right here is 2x plus 1. Now it says ABC. That's the whole thing. The whole thing is 3x plus 10. But what's the other half? Remember, both halves are the same, so I can just write 2x plus 1. So here's what I know. I'm looking for the value of x, but I'm also looking for the measure of angle DBC. So I'm looking for this. But I have to note that this whole thing right here, and I'm going to put like a little curve out here, is 3x plus 10. So here's what I know. Both halves added together equal the whole. So that means that 2x plus 1 plus 2x plus 1 equals 3x plus 10. You've got to make sure you read carefully. Because remember, this here, and I'm going to highlight this in purple. This whole thing right there is 3x plus 10. So make a note of that. All right. Now let's get back to the problem here. 4x plus 2 equals 3x plus 10. So when you do the algebra, you subtract 3x. So you get 2 equals x plus 10. And that is actually going to give you a negative value. So unfortunately, this is not, I know what it is. This is a typo right here. So let's fix that. That's supposed to be 3x minus 10. That's supposed to be minus 10. I'm glad I caught that. So 3x minus 10. 3x minus 10. So that's going to give us x equals 12. So x equals 12. And then I plug in right here. So 2 times 12 plus 1, which is 25 degrees. Okay. That's a typo. I'll try to fix that on the notes later on, but just note that that's supposed to be 3x minus 10. All right. That's the warm-up. Okay. Now let's move on to the section. Okay. Today we'll be able to determine the distance and midpoint between the given information. All right. Distance between 2 points on a number line. You take the 2 coordinates and then you subtract them and then determine its absolute value. Now I'll show you why we do the absolute value. So it's going to be 31 minus 3, which is 28. Or if I switch that around, which I can, 3 minus 31 is going to be negative 28, which is still absolute value of 28. That's why we do the absolute value, because distance is always positive. Remember, distance is always positive. All right. And the same thing over here. 7 minus negative 41. I believe we've done these problems already, but that's okay. So that's going to be plus positive, be absolute value 48, which is 48. All right, so it's 48. That's distance. Pretty simple. Plug in, take the 2 coordinates, subtract them, and determine their absolute value. All right. Now the same thing goes for distance formula using coordinates. You learned this in algebra. I'm almost positive you learned it in pre-algebra. So I'm just going to kind of go through it real quick. Let's go x1, x1, y1, x2, y2. I got it right this time. Last time I messed up on it, so I try not to do the same thing twice. Okay, so square root of, in this case, it is going to be 6 minus 3 squared plus 8 minus 5 squared. All right, now that's going to be 3 squared, which is going to be 9 plus 9, which is the square root of 18. Now, square root of 18 is approximately 4 point something. I don't remember the exact number, so I'm just going to leave it at square root of 18. You can do that. Now on Canvas, it'll probably be left in radical form or an approximate. So you could figure that out on your own. All right. Now the same thing goes for CD. It would be 4 minus negative 9 squared plus negative 3 minus 8 squared. So that's going to end up being, I'm just going to kind of do this quickly, it's going to be 13 squared plus negative 11 squared. So it's going to be 169 plus 121, which is approximately square root of, actually not approximately, but it is the square root of, let's do that again, square root of 290. All right, that you can do. You've done it, you saw it in algebra. I can almost guarantee you also saw it in pre-algebra, so that you've had some experience with that. All right, nothing new there, so let's kind of move forward. If you have any questions about it, you can always email me. All right, now, next is the same thing. I'll just kind of write it down for you so you can see what it looks like. 5 minus 1 squared plus, and that's going to be 9 minus 2, which is going to be 4 squared plus 7 squared. 1649 is going to be square root of 65. Okay, now, midpoint. Midpoint. We're going to determine the midpoint of 2 ordered pairs like you see there. And basically, you take the 2 x coordinates and you add them together, divide by 2. That's another word for average. So do the same thing with the y's. So you need to know these. I would make note of those. And here we go once again. All right, so All right. Now, in this one, actually, I want to go back to the previous problem. I'm going to go back to the previous problem so you can see how it works. Okay, so that would be 2 plus 5 over 2 would give me x sub m. Now, x sub m means x, the midpoint of the x coordinates. And the same thing, 1 plus 9 over 2. And then that's going to be 7 halves. And this is going to end up being 5 because it's 10 over 2, which is 5. So this, by the way, is y sub m, y coordinate of the midpoint. Okay, now, I did that one first because those are pretty self-explanatory. All right, now I want to do one where where you are given the midpoint and you're given one endpoint and you have to find the other endpoint. That's going to be tricky for some of you. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's going to be tricky for some of you, but as long as it's midpoint. So I'm going to highlight the midpoint. I'm going to highlight it in green. Matter of fact, I'm going to do it on both of these. Okay. So we'll probably get through one of these before we have to shut the video off. So let's do that. All right. Now, here's what you need to know. Let's fill it in. This is x sub 1. This is y sub 1. This is x sub m. And this right here is y sub m. All right. So here's what we know. X sub m equals x sub 1 plus x over 2. And y sub m equals y sub 1 plus y over 2. Now, y is what we're looking for, same thing with x. So let's plug them in. All right, so that means that 5 equals 0 plus x over 2, which means that 5 equals x over 2, which when you cross multiply that, that's going to give you 5 times 2 equals x, so therefore x equals 10. All right. Now, the same thing goes for y sub m. This time, y sub m is negative 8 equals, and then we got 4 plus y over 2. So I cross multiply. I multiply the 2 times 8, so it's going to be negative 8 times 2 equals 4 plus y. So negative 16 equals 4 plus y. And then subtract 4. Subtract 4, so y equals negative 20. So that means that the endpoint here is going to be 10, negative 20. All right. I'm going to pause the video for right now, and we will carry on with part 2 here shortly. All right.